I am really excited to bring you this new tool that I just developed. This is a data fusion platform. And what this is it allows you to put in your investigator notes into the system completely private. I don't have access to what you put in here. The AI that's doing the scoring doesn't have access for long-term memory to remember, what you put in. Everything is just within the session only, but this allows you to put in your notes from different sources, Facebook, LinkedIn, field notes, whatever, and it'll process all this and give you a really great report after that I'll show you in just a moment. So this will be in the member hub very soon. If you go over to the member hub, as long as you're logged in, you can access all the tools here. So you have the national database, search over 63 million records, and more being added all the time. You have the state searches, everything that's highlighted, and I do plan on adding more states soon. And then you have the member only tools. And right down the bottom right where it says new tool coming soon, that's where this tool will be, the data fusion platform. That's where it's going to be right there. So you can just click on that. And like I said, as long as you're logged in, you can access it no problem. Now, I do have the report up. It took probably about 45 seconds or so to generate this. You see all the sources we put in. Just be careful you don't click new search because you'll lose the credit on that one. And I can only give 3 credits a day just because this is costing me money for the AI to process all this data, especially if there's a lot of data. It's costing me data every single time, but this should be enough for most investigators because it can process a lot of data at once and give you the report that you see here. So we see report generated April 8th, 2026, 3:41 p.m. Subject Marcus Thomas Delacroix. And you have, like I said, the new search. You also have print and save. So you can hit that button and that'll open up a new window or tab, depending on your system. And then from there, you can print it, you can save it as a PDF, you can copy it as it gives kind of like a text file. So you can do all of that. It looks nice. So give that a try when you do it, or you can just copy all and you can copy it right over. You can copy it all right into your note taking system. So here we have first the key facts. And again, all this information is fake information. I mean, there might be an Iron Gate Construction LLC, but it's not registered to this guy. That's not a real social, whatever. So Marcus Thomas Delacroix, born 4/12/76, fake social right there, lives in fake place, confirmed by multiple sources, including property records, field observation, and database. So I'm not going to read this whole thing, but it's going to give you the key facts. Like down here, Kevin P. Ashworth is a significant associate, former business co-owner, current personal friend, and was listed as an LLC member until he was removed by the business filings in 2021. And it just keeps going. So, overview, you have a little bit more, or actually a little bit less than the key facts, and then the client summary. This is a little repetitive right here on the overview and key facts, so I might put in or take out the overview and keep the client summary. You have subject identity, and that's where you have all the information that was fed into it, but it also shows a little more, like the date of birth confirmed by IDI database, corroborated by Facebook birthday post, April 12th, 2025, subject noted 49 today. So that's all very good information, especially if the person's using fake information too. So you have the full legal name, aliases, used on Facebook profile, you have used in a court filing, so you get that middle initial there, initial base variant confirms an I database and court records. So you have that information there. And keep in mind, as we're going through all this information, I think this is what you're probably going to be seeing when you look at this video. All this information is usually going to take hours upon hours, depending on the size of your case, but several hours to try to put together and be able to be like, okay, this is confirmed over here, this is confirmed over there, and this is probably right, this is not right. Again, this is powered and scored by an AI system, so it's never going to be perfect. You always want to verify it. I would never take this report and present it to your client, but it is going to help save a lot of time. So you look at it, you confirm the sources, and it just saves a lot of time in doing that. Um, as you begin to use it, you'll find, if you do find any problems, you can always notify me and I can look into it and try to get it fixed for you. Phone numbers. This is kind of a fun feature right here where if you click on the phone number, and it doesn't matter what format it's in, but if you click on the phone number, it's going to open up a new tab in Google. And this is very similar to a tool that I already have where it can open up multiple phone numbers, but this is just something convenient I added to the system. Obviously, this 000 is not an area code, that's not a number, but it would open it up right in Google in that format with hyphens and quotes around it. So you can do a search on that number very easy. So, again, I do have a whole tool devoted to that, but this is just a little extra feature that you can click on and it'll bring you right to the Google page. You don't have to try to format it yourself or throw it into Google. It's just a little bit of a time saver. So you have email addresses here, you have relatives, and this is very useful because in a data vendor report, sometimes it'll show a spouse, like in an investigator data vendor report. It'll sometimes show that, but it's not usually going to say brother or sister. But then you have the obituary, you have Facebook, and it factors everything in so you can see. Like here, Robert James Delacroix, DOB approximately 1944, father, deceased February 28th, 2019, age 74, listed in IDI database, confirmed by Clearfield Gazette obituary, confirmed in 2 sources. So again, this is information you're not going to have to put together manually. You just have to throw in all your notes, label it, and it's going to give you all this. Same thing with associates. It's going to give you a summary right here of some of the associates, because if you're an investigator and if you're pulling an IDI report, it doesn't matter what report. I don't want to single one out. TLO, Locate Smarter, Tracers, whatever it be, Accurant, Clear. When it comes to associates, even when it comes to relatives, but when it comes to associates, I mean, a third degree associate could be your landlord's sister's ex. I mean, it can get pretty crazy. So this is going to help you kind of clear up who's who. Then you have vehicles. So we did have some vehicle information with this report, and you have business affiliations and some information there. Then you have your conflicts and flags section. So it says the relationship between Raymond G. Bouchard and Marcus Delacroix is contradictory across sources and worth attention. And it goes on about that. It talks about Kevin Ashworth. The timing may be coincidental, but it's worth noting about the lawsuit and removing from the Secretary of State. And that's very good. Like maybe you have a lot of notes where you just don't pick up on it because we always miss something when we're doing these reports. But yeah, he was removed. So maybe like yesterday when you were looking at the Secretary of State, you saw in it, or you just copy and pasted the data, he was removed from the corporate filings in 2021. And then you didn't put it together because maybe he was just mentioned in the notes a little bit about the lawsuit, but that's the same year Bouchard filed the lawsuit or something. So maybe it comes together, and then this is the part that I'm really proud of putting this together because it took some doing and some back and forth with the system, but this is a timeline. Now, I do have a note here with all the timelines that say this timeline is only as complete and accurate as the data sources provided. Treat it as a starting point, not a definitive record. So you have when he was born. This is just all the sources put together. Sometimes it'll note the source, sometimes not. But, Facebook, the data vendor report, the obituary, the lawsuit, the Secretary of State records, whatever. And this just goes down the list for everything you have. So 1973, the brother was born. 1976, Marcus Thomas Delacroix, the subject of the investigation, was born. The future spouse was born in 78. The sister in 1980. So you have some of that information there. Go all the way to 2026. Subject posted on Facebook about 3 new contracts and hiring framers. March 10th, 2026. Field observation. That would have been from you going out in the field. Confirmed subject at home address, active job site in Millville. And then you have some suggested next steps that it gives you. I've gone back and forth about keeping this in or not, but I've tried to keep it so it is practical and not just some like stupid step like, oh, confirm the social or whatever that you get from the IDI report. That was one of the beginning ones. And, it's just kind of like not the smartest thing. So I've tried to add a little bit of my investigative knowledge into this. So it's going to give you some AI generated, but still, again, coming from a little bit of my background, some suggestions there, automated based on everything. And then you have the quick search links. And I actually just added this today where this is like Google Maps to things. So all the addresses listed, if you click on one of the addresses, it'll open up in a new tab. And again, this is not a real address. So you're going to get, partial match. And it only gave you the Wexford crossing there and took out the other stuff like the state that didn't exist, but it'll bring you right to it. Now, again, this is something you can do yourself, of course, but it's a time saver that's just added into the system. Then you have some true people search things where you click on it, and it'll bring you to True People Search. Facebook profile, you gave it that in the notes, as well as a LinkedIn profile, so it allows you to open it right from here. And then it goes over some coverage gaps, like, hey, out of all your notes, and you may not need this, but it still gives the coverage gap. So, like, no criminal history was found beyond the one civil case. No social media platforms other than the Facebook and LinkedIn were identified. No Instagram, X, or other accounts were found in the data provided. So that just might be an area that you want to look at, maybe not. But that is the whole report. And like I said, if you want to, you can always just, when you're in the report, you can go and just click on copy all, and that'll copy it all right into a text file. Or you can go ahead or copy it all right into whatever you have. Or you can click on the print button, and I'll actually show you that because it did open up my printer to save it or to print it, but it also opens up a new tab. And you can see it's in a really good format here. Very easy to read, nothing smushed together, all that. So you have the whole thing. You even still have the links active. Yeah, so the links are active there. So you have that, but that is the whole report for you. And I recommend you do that immediately so you don't lose the credit if you accidentally exit the tab or you hit click new search or whatever. Just kind of like Pacer, you don't get any sort of, uh, you know, 24-hour history. If you bring up a report and you're paying like $3 for it, if you get out of it, you get out of it. You have to pay the $3 again to get back into it. So just make sure you save it or you get into another tab or you copy it somewhere just to protect yourself and your credits. But that is essentially it. So that is the data fusion system. Now, everything here I've thought of on my own and I've done and built and I've tested it multiple times, so it works. However, I can't think of everything. So, like I said before, when I was actually doing this video, I had thought of like, oh, maybe something where we put in the purpose of the case, and that helps uh, change the report a little bit, or in the coverage gaps, or might give a little more information. However, I set up. But if you think of something that you think would be really, really beneficial, and I can integrate it into here, then I will